Hello, welcome everybody. Today we're gonna continue with our tips for beginners endgame study, and I would like to teach you more about how those weird generals work. We already know one endgame shape, which is gold at the head. This is gonna be basics of our knowledge. We know that if gold is protected by another piece, it perfectly surrounds the king on the back rank. Yeah, it has nowhere to go. But quite a similar thing will happen in this case with a silver actually. Silver also moves forward, but in this case, thanks to this general behind it, all those additional squares are also covered. So this silver at the hand, little bit rarer shape, is also possible, but you have to be aware of the difference between those two pieces. In this case, we will have a pawn, and yes, gold drop will work as a checkmate. But if you notice, dropping the silver will actually allow the king to run, and that is because the silver weakness will be those three squares. So you have to be really aware of the silver's limitations as opposed to the gold strengths. Yeah, gold at the head is a good shape, silver at the head is a little bit more tricky. So speaking of the gold, we also have different techniques you can use, as the gold, as we established, yeah, it attacks many squares, it's a very strong piece. So actually, it also works from different sides. In this case, it's called gold at the belly. Yeah, it's protected by the pawn, it checkmates the king. The king cannot run upward because there is a pawn on the way. Yeah, this is important here. This is one checkmating shape. It also works in the corner. A little bit more simpler because we just attack sideways. Another shape that's often used, perhaps if you played Yagura, you might have seen it. The king attack from the back. Here the token is protecting the gold is protecting the token, so they both cannot be taken by the king, right? And the gold is the one delivering the final punch. Good shape to know. And speaking of real games, you've probably seen a situation where the enemy has a rook on the back rank, they drop the gold, check your king, chase it to the corner, and then checkmate you with rook promotion. This also connects with the same shape, a very useful one to know. This is kind of unintuitive because gold at the back attacks only one square, looks very inefficient, but in some cases it's very useful. Drop to know. Alright, let's talk about silver. So silver has a little bit different skill set, let's say. In this case, even if you had a gold, you cannot really checkmate this king, as there is a pawn protecting the king very nicely over here. But if you had another silver, yeah, we are attacking those two squares. If you had another silver, under protection of this silver, delivering a checkmate, this shape, yeah, it's very useful. So depending on the situation, you will want to have a gold. In other cases, you will want to have a silver, yeah? Similarly, the king in the corner can be checkmated by the silver as long as the king cannot exploit that weakness of the silver. But in this case, when the king is sideways of the silver, yeah, you see we have no way of checking the king apart from here, which can be obviously taken. Silver drop here is not a checkmate because the king is safe, right? So silver will be useless from this side again. And one more thing to notice is that actually all the pieces can promote, right? So even if silver has that weakness that we talked about, yeah, it cannot defend on the side. Silver promotion, turning into a gold, which is the proper piece in this position, is the key point. Speaking of other pieces, we also have, yeah, the previously mentioned silver at the head. We also can make this shape into gold at the head. Knights as well can promote into gold. So this would be exactly same shape, but using a different piece. So if you just learn this one shape, it's already so many patterns that can be used here. Gold king is in the corner. Seemingly we cannot reach it because we just have a lance, but again, lance can promote to gold, leading to that diagonal gold attack that we talked about. And in this case, we have a singular pawn, but upon promotion becomes a powerful gold at the head shape protected by the lance. Very simple and yet efficient shape. Then we will talk about the big pieces. How do they compare with the gold? Yeah, gold moves to those squares. But if you notice, big pieces move to more squares than the gold. So they're kind of similar. in a way, yeah, they have additionally those 2 squares they can move to. So yes, you can also use your big pieces upon them being promoted in the same way as the gold. So for example, in the previous shape we had the gold at the head. We can make a dragon at the head. Yeah, exactly same shape. In case of the bishop, yeah, we can also promote it into a horse. And it's also a checkmate. Please notice that in case of those big pieces, they can be really far away in order to checkmate the king. Yeah, they don't have to be close by, in case of the golds or the knight. This is why they're such a powerful pieces to have in shogi. Okay, and one more difference rook and the bishop has. We're gonna notice this difference today. This is something you will have to think about yourself. We talked about that the silver is good when attacking from behind, right? Same thing will happen with the bishop. Bishop will be very similar to silver. It will be able to attack from behind. But stronger than the silver, we also will be able to use it from far away. It has similar abilities though, yeah? Diagonal movement. Rook will be very similar to gold. In this case, this was the gold at the belly shape. In this case, we have to make one more move to make the dragon to surround the king. Notice that it does cover this square that the gold wouldn't be able to. Yeah, so if you think about the rook as a piece similar to gold and bishop as a piece similar to silver in endgame, that would be a nice simplification, I think. And this is why I recommend you to look at this and study how each piece works. It's gonna simplify some things, like later we're gonna talk about difficult techniques like which piece to drop in endgame. By dividing the pieces like this, gonna help you to solve those problems, because you'll be able to have a shortcut in your brain. The rook and gold are pieces that move forward and backward and sideways. So they're kind of like this cross piece. This is how I remember it. Bishop and silver are the diagonal pieces. So they can be used in many diagonal techniques. If they promote it, yeah, obviously they belong to both groups at the same time. Now, knight is a very specific piece. Knight will be a piece that jumps, so it's gonna be a category of its own. Then we will have a piece group that we call a long-range piece. The bishop can go far away, rook can go far away, and lance can go far away. Other pieces are more direct, yeah? Those pieces can be, for example, limited by a piece drop in front of them. But yeah, long-range pieces. Then we will have a group of pieces that can move forward. Pawn will be able to move forward, lance will be able to move forward, silver will be able to move forward, gold will be able to move forward, and we're missing the rook actually. Rook also will be a piece that goes forward. So paradoxically, it will be easier to remember which piece doesn't go forward, and you notice that it's gonna be bishop and the knight only. So if you ever have a position where you need to avoid giving the enemy forward moving piece, you're gonna have to choose between two of them instead of thinking of all the possibilities. Another exception that you have to remember is you cannot win with a pawn drop checkmate. Be careful, yeah, it's called uchi fuzume in Japanese. It's an illegal move. Pawn movement, pawn promotion is okay, pawn drop, checkmate is illegal. And at the end, we have pieces that move 3 squares forward. Might be a little bit obvious, but all those pieces, basically generals, yeah, they attack all the 3 squares in front of it, but so does all the pieces, yeah, if you think about it. So for now, I think the most important is to notice that those two groups exist, yeah, the diagonal pieces and the cross pieces, as well as those forward moving pieces. Remember about pawn drop mate being illegal, and think about the fact that the bishop and knight, yeah, they cannot move forward. That's gonna be useful in some endgame problems we're gonna try soon. Hope that helps you with your current endgame. Yeah, gold at the head of the king, very important shape to remember, but now you know also can use different pieces as well. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.